Do a quick sound check here. I always edit these out on BitChute. Check 1, 2. See if I can hear this bad boy. Yep, we're good. Nice. All right. Hello. Hey, Hoff here. Welcome to Hoffcast. Tonight, I am going to have a special guest with me. I'm very excited to talk to him. This guy, he's very interesting. He's got a lot of stuff to say, and he's never really had a chance to say it live before. So here we go, Matt Brooks. I'm glad to have you here, man. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having me, man. It's an honor.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. So what's on your mind right now?
Well, there's all the bullshit going on in the media, and there's a lack of what is going on with with the presidency, and we're really at a kind of a stagnant point to where they throw out the numbers as far as where the unemployment rate's at, where the stock market's at, where housing's at, and it's kind of, you'd be crazy to think that where everything is standing, with the stock market and how the economy and how people are still out there spending, as far as like when the whole pandemic's actually going to be done with and people do feel comfortable and everybody's back in their comfort spot, for how long this is going to go on without it having that feeling that maybe it's kind of shadowed, that we're kind of manifesting something that's not quite actually accurate just because we're like this close from actually maybe having the carpet pulled under us. So that's one thing I kind of want to touch on for tonight is, are we too comfortable in our current state, knowing that like everything we've gone to the last 18 months, hoping to get back to how life was pre-pandemic?
Do you think that's possible? That we'll ever get back to that? Because to me, there's always going to be a percentage of people who are still going to wear the masks. It's like a whole new religion. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I think what it's the tricky part is, it's not like you can say, hey, Hoff, the button's been pressed or it's been twitched to where it's like, hey, everybody go back to normal. It's just not going to work that way. It's going to come down to kind of a regional thing. And where I'm at here in Texas, it basically came down to whatever the governor put in effect when he put in effect, because everybody, for the most part, is more like-minded. Of course, you got people maybe in rural areas that never took this thing one bit serious, that they might have their closest neighbor a half mile or more away. And then you've got city dwellers that may live on apartments stacked on top of each other, neighbors that they can't avoid, the ones that they said that were, what was the term for the mandatory coworkers? It was the necessary jobs you had to show up to.
Oh, essential
jobs.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes down to like a regional thing. And I think it's going to take a long time. A lot of people that I know and I spoke to last year were kind of saying, 2022, but hell, we're 9 weeks away from 2022. And I just think it's going to be one of those things that the media has to play along with, the rates going down. Obviously there's the availability of the V word that's not
so like it kind of becomes when it's not profitable to the media anymore, to some extent. Do you think that,
I think a mixture of that, and let's say I got my ass kicked every single day, right? Getting your ass kicked once is kind of a traumatic thing. You think, oh, don't ever do that again. That was painful. It caused bruising. It caused an appearance, and you've got a stigma behind that guy that keeps having his ass kicked. Well, once you keep on and on and on and on, it just becomes the norm. And so I think it's going to get to the point where people are just, and I think a lot of people are already there, especially people that like to travel, that enjoy the social aspects, that they've been there and that they're getting there. And essentially it's just going to get to the point to where, sadly, we speak of deaths and new cases and just the sickness overall and its effect, where it's just people become numb to it. And that's just life as it is, sadly.
We got a comment from Wookiee Supremacy here. He's a longtime viewer of Hoffcast. He says, "Hey Hoff, good to meet you, Matt." So yeah, Matt, he's a great guy here. I'm loving what he's saying so far. We're just jumping straight into it.
Nice to meet you, Wookiee.
No foreplay at all here. Me and Matt just going straight at it. And cheers to you, bud.
Cheers.
I can already tell it's gonna be a good conversation. And as you mentioned before the stream, you didn't want to get too much into the actual aspect of the sickness, the illness or whatever that's going around.
Correct.
But you did want to get more
for starting
into.
out hot. It's
Oh,
just,
you're good, man.
it will dwindle from that. You'd mentioned, and that's an easy conversation piece that everybody obviously has an opinion on. Is non-biased or passive as you want to be. Everybody, if you haven't been affected personally, which I don't know who can't say that they haven't, somebody that has, and so therefore it touches home if you have any kind of empathy in your body.
I like your angle on it though, where it's more of it's going to become more of a regional thing. Like, what do you think about some people have this theory of some states seceding or whatever, and you live in Texas, so like,
that would be the number
what's
one.
your outlook out there?
The one thing about Texas, and I don't know if there's any viewers from Texas in the chat that could probably agree with me that Texas would be the number one state to do that. But people who live in Texas have a real big issue, maybe more so than most other countries, with people from other states coming in. We've had a really high flux of people coming in from the West Coast, majority California, mostly LA.
I've heard about that.
Just because of the cost of housing is so cheaper. It was a domino effect of somebody moves out here, they get twice the home for a third of the rate, and they say, oh, well, hell, all we have to deal with is the summer heat that we have out here, and maybe the fact that it's not as sexually attractive as being LA or San Fran or whatever's out there. And they say, you know what? In particular, we have a city here that's in the Metroplex. I live in Fort Worth. It's in closer to Dallas. It's called Frisco. And what that is, if you go to Frisco, and if you live anywhere else in North Texas, but you go to Frisco, Addison, Plano, all a little cluster, all northwest of Dallas, those people aren't Texans. They're not. The Star is our Frisco practice facility for the Dallas Cowboys. And you go out there and you're like, this is LA. And so a lot of people from Texas have issues.
Oh, really? So it's a very blue area.
Politically, I would imagine it's blue just because they are all a lot of California transplants. But just the vibe and the feel you get out there. And so, of course, that's a little cluster, and those people are okay with it. But anybody else coming into, more in the Fort Worth, Arlington, Dallas side of it, there's a lot of issue with those people coming in because they come in and they expect the pay that Californians have. And you got to say, hey, whoa, hold up, hit the brakes. You need to know that when coming out here and reaping the benefits of a lower cost of living, that you might potentially make less. You made 110, 120K a year in the sector, that you were in California. Mm-hmm. Well, here you're going to make 75, 80 based off that. And it's a tough pill for some of them to swallow. From what I've ran into.
Do you think that comes from just the economy going to a certain direction and people having to make adjustments for that, having to adjust their livings from what they're used to, downscaling a little bit to some extent, or
honestly,
because I know I gotta buy the store brand whenever I go to the store nowadays. I can't get the name brands as much anymore. Gotta save that extra dollar, unlike I used to have to worry about.
I understand, and I think honestly it stems from two things. One, I think it's a little bit of narcissism, thinking, oh well, I made $120,000 a year. How am I going to settle for 85? I put in all this hard work, all this dedication, so forth, etc. And why am I going to stoop for this? Well, again, the cost of living is lower, and the mindset may be more of not more of a more working class, but just I hate to say this because I'm from here and we're not hillbillies and we're not all uneducated, but just a more simple, easier lifestyle. So I go out to Las Vegas a lot, which is West Coast, which they have California transplant issues going through the same thing, but the vibe is the same. Politically, they're blue and they kind of stand in the same sense. And everybody I meet out there is fucking money hungry. And I hope nobody in here is from Vegas. I love Vegas. It's my second home. I've been there 17 times. If you count the days, I've lived there for 3 months plus.
Dang.
I'm just saying that
I've been there twice. It's been over 10 years since the last time I was there, but yeah, it was like my favorite place in the world to go, man. Yeah.
Big difference. And what I'm getting at is when they come out here and they expect that West Coast lifestyle, they're just in for a change. So the narcissism was the first. The second is basically what I just touched on, is they're just money hungry. And so, with that, with them wanting to get back to where they're at, they don't realize that potentially puts them in another financial category. They go from working upper class to upper class if they're making that there, because the average person in Texas or North Texas is going to make less than LA. But it's an easier lifestyle. You're going to have less traffic. Up until about now, traffic's becoming an issue. But in the past, it was less traffic, less hassle. I mean, when you move out to LA, you know what the hell you're moving into. It's LA. And so that's why the people are leaving there. So, we're not the only ones. I know that a lot of people from New York are moving down. You won't believe this. You'll say, what the hell? And I'm not making this up. I wish I was. But a lot of people from New York are moving down to like the lower Appalachians. I've heard they're going down to like Tennessee, parts of Georgia. And those people, you think Texans are having issues with West Coast people? Jesus Christ. They're in for another fucking awakening.
Yeah, that's gonna open some eyes right there for sure, man. Also, we were kind of talking right before the stream, back to the narcissism thing. We were talking about phones and how we each had older versions of the iPhone for quite a while. You had the 10, I think, and I had the 8, and I just recently upgraded like 2 weeks ago to the 13. And we were talking about how that's kind of like a status symbol kind of thing. And I don't think in Texas it goes over as well either as it does maybe in LA or Vegas, with like not just iPhones, but when it comes to a lot of other things, Gucci and whatnot, what I mean? Like style's probably a little bit different there as well, because I come from a rural area myself.
Dallas actually is a large hub for fashion. I hate that I know that. I'm not like a metro.
I'm sure the city is, but I mean, just like the state of Texas probably overall might have maybe a little bit of a different style.
It comes down to, are you in a rural area or a urban area? Mm-hmm. So one of my biggest things, and I'm not getting off topic, I'm going to get back to it, but one of my biggest goals is, if I were to travel across the country, I don't want anybody to know where I'm from. Hence the accent. And that's a goal of mine. I never want to go.
Oh, you do that Rango, huh?
What's that?
You do that Rango, huh? You ever seen the movie Rango?
No, I haven't.
Oh, is that the movie? I'm thinking the right one. Rango with it's the animated movie with Johnny Depp doing the voice of that lizard, and he goes into town and he just makes up a whole new personality and he becomes someone else to these strangers he's never met. Oh, so they didn't know who he was previously. Sorry, I was just making a joke.
No. I'm shocked. I think it was Rango. I mean, I'm not a huge Johnny Depp fan, but if it's a Johnny Depp movie, you've heard of it. I mean, the guy's.
It was like 15 years ago. It came out. Something. It's an older one.
The guy's grossed $400 million plus in films. I mean, look at the Pirates of the Caribbean series. The guy was Edward Scissorhands. I mean,
my mom loves Johnny Depp. Like, she's in love with Johnny Depp.
We could go on and on. The guy's he's a nutcase.
I didn't mean to go off on a tangent about Johnny Depp, though, man. I was just trying to make a joke there about like if you were traveling across the country, you wouldn't tell people where you're from, right?
Exactly. As a goal from that. So being in Texas, as far as like you're saying with the fashion industry, it just basically comes down to, are you a city dweller or are you a rural person? And the fact that we have a lot of the people coming in from California and the West Coast, you're starting to see like the Texas accent go away. And it really just comes down to
seeing a lot of Botox, probably.
Yeah, sadly. It just comes down to, are you in the city or are you in the country? And that's a divide in itself, as far as our country being as divided as it is, that's a divide in itself, because if you're in the city, you're more than likely going to have certain mindset of like potentially more liberal, more progressive mindsets, compared to if you're in the country and you don't see anybody, and it's that mindset of, how dare you come on my property? I'm going to own guns, so forth, so forth. Yeah. It really just comes down to that. So like you're saying with fashion, it pretty much just comes down to, if you even give a shit. Are you in the city?
Yeah, or like I said, it's ironic, as we're saying, like some of these people that are come from the west coast of Texas or from like New York to Appalachian areas, if they'll have any kind of culture shock, and just the irony of them going somewhere that they, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but just going to an area that doesn't seem likely for them to go. You know what I mean?
Right. I heard,
Moths fly towards the flame, not away from it. That's,
exactly. I heard, I'm going to try to put this in words the best I can, but I heard a good like form of shock to where like it's a good scenario to where we'll take your shit back where you came from, to where it was some people that were from another state, I think West Coast, came into a place like Texas, and a mother went to a PTO meeting or PTA, whatever the hell it's called these days.
Either or
they
both.
said, "Oh, well, where I came from, we did it this way." And that's a prime example of somebody coming in and trying to change things and being like, whoa, lady, hit the brakes. We're not.
So you kind of get what I was saying there when I was hinting it might be intentional a little bit with some of them, at least.
100%. Yeah. I mean, look, the election can be rigged. If you have blue states with such high populations where they say they do sabermetrics.
You might have just got me my third strike with that one. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, man. I'm joking.
No, it's okay.
You're good.
They may take part in sabermetrics, which is the fact that they look back and they see the numbers and they say, well, how is this going our way? They did it in the MLB. They based the movie Moneyball off of it. Well, the NFL, I'm sure the NBA took part, and they said, okay, here's the numbers. Here's the stats. How do we fix this? Well, if you've got 43 million people that live in the state of California, and you've got 32 million that live in the state of Texas, and you want to flip the switch as far as the way the voting goes, and you want to get those numbers for your state, well, what do? You send those people to that state where the numbers aren't there. And we're seeing that, and I don't know how much of a impact it had on this last election or the election before that, and who knows what's going to happen in the elections to come, but it's just easy. Being 21, and I mean, throughout our lifetime, we haven't had it tough. We're similar in age. It's just too easy to get in a plane and just fuck it off somewhere. It's so convenient and so easy. I can be in LA in 3 hours. I can be in Vegas in 2 hours, 35 minutes. It's just too easy. Mm-hmm. If you have a job that you're willing to take a new job, and one of the perks is, well, hey, I'm not paying the $2,300 to move my shit halfway across country. Oh yeah, no problem. We'll take it out of your signing bonus, or we'll add it to the signing bonus. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple to be a transplant. I mean, luckily, and I'm going to say luckily, I'm going to say the majority of people I know are from here, but there are a lot of people that have moved in from various states, and we're seeing that more now than we say 50 years ago, 30 years ago.
We can't ignore the border thing, right?
Can't ignore the border thing at all. I see it all too well. I live here. It's one of those things that you kind of just turn a blind eye because you don't want to be the guy that openly speaks about it, because you get a target on your back and say, oh, well, they're here for a better life. They're here for so-and-so. And it's got to the point to where the border wasn't an issue 40, 50 years ago. It became an issue because it was a problem the whole time, and it wasn't sought to. If you go a long time without fixing a problem, you can't get to the point to where you unfuck that problem, because on a diaspora standpoint, there are so many people that fall into that category that, back to politics, that gets a vote. And if you fall on one line of it, you're going to get the vote from those people that are for, basically open immigration. And then the other line, you get the people that are against it. And each side's going to have a target on their back. And it's just the points where you can't even talk about it. Really, it's disturbing. Like, I can't say much to it. I have an opinion on it, but I don't want to get too far into it on your podcast, because
I'll give you my opinion real quick. And I know I'm not the first person to say anything like this, obviously, but voter ID laws becoming a big thing. The fact that you have to show ID to vote, but they want you to show your medical records to get into a concert. The irony they don't see with this is astounding, and the fact that they don't mandate the people coming across the border to have the jab or anything like this is just ironic. I'm not even ironic. It's just blatant. But the whole voter ID thing, and the thing is, they try to blame it on racism, but, and I know I'm not the first to say this, but how is it like racism when you need an ID to buy cigarettes or buy alcohol or rent a hotel room or drive a car? Is it racist for all that as well, or just for voting? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems blatant, and the way some people don't get it or defend it or just completely flip it, just blows my mind with the amount of brainwashing people have gotten into. And I'm not trying to be one-sided on this. I'm just saying, like, why can't we just say what it is? You know?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's outrageous, and I think it obviously comes down to the fact that you're already an American and they've got you by the balls. They can do that because all they have to do is throw out certain jargon and certain terminology. Like I said before we got on, I was in corporate America for 10.5 years, and fear-mongering is a simple thing once you illustrate those type of words. Things like mandatory immediately, or effective immediately, mandatory, as of now. I mean, you can think
alert.
Yeah, you could think of tens of hundreds of words that fall into the fear-mongering category where you say, okay, I'm gainfully employed. I don't want to do anything to fuck this up, so I'm going to go ahead and give in to what they're saying. Well, when you're already an American, they have you by the balls, or else if you don't want to go to that concert, you might as well just go get vaxxed or show them the vax cards or whatever it is. But for the people that are coming in illegally, they can't do that to them because they're not American citizens. So some of them coming in from the border are coming here and they're trying to get caught. They're trying to be, sadly, I heard this yesterday actually on the radio. They're trying to get amnesty or whatever it's called within the states so they can be known and be put on that. And the crazy thing is it's not even really Mexico. It is a large part of southern Mexico. A lot of the Mexican people I know here are from an area called Michoacan. The majority of them, they're all from there. And so obviously there's some shit going on in that area. But a lot of people coming in now, obviously the Caribbean with what it went on in Haiti with the
Haitians coming
with the hurricane there. And a lot of people.
I want to be clear. I'm not anti-immigration or anything. As long as I want it to be done legally and like I think there's the right way and the not having people separated or just being distributed all around the country without any ID or anything like that, and just leaving them on their own. Like, a lot of these people aren't even bad people, some are, but a lot of them aren't. They just want to come to America and live a better life, but it just needs to be done a better way. And if we did it the right way to begin with, we wouldn't have all this BS to follow it. You know what I mean?
I agree. And it's scary because you don't want to sit there and put the target on them and say they're bad people, but they're coming here for a reason. And if you're a criminal, when you cross into an unknown territory and you bring that over, we don't know that. We don't have documents on them. And one of the things about Mexico is here's a fun person to look into. You can find him on the Joe Rogan podcast. And you can find him on the Adam Carolla podcast. He's actually a Mexican national that worked for the DEA. His name is Ed Calderon, and he paints the perfect picture of what goes on down there. And he says that their legal system, that there are so many crimes that actually go on in Mexico that don't get accounted for. Here in America, you do one fucking thing, and you're paying the fucking consequences. You don't even let a speeding ticket go before you find yourself in jail for a day or 2 days because you didn't pay it. There, it's like, oh, well, it happened. What are we going to do about it? Well, the same kind of attitude is how they're treating their people. They say, oh, well, there's a clientele or the cartel. What do we do about it? Here, that shit would be shut down fast. I mean, look what we did to the mob in the 1970s and 80s with New York's own Rudy Giuliani just putting down the fucking hammer and saying, hey, this isn't going to happen anymore. This has gone on too long. It's just not the way it's going to be. We have a country we need to run, and we got money to make. And you mob bosses out here making all this illegal money we can't tax. Not going to happen. And so
I won't be too conspiratorial here, but I think the people who run us now are the mob. Just in my opinion.
Well, it's the man. I mean?
I'm not going to go on that direction. I want you to go, man. You're rolling.
No, I don't think
I'm loving this.
I don't think it's so much the mob. I think it's so much more like the man. I look at corporate America and the time spent there is the exact same way as America. That's why it got its name corporate America. And so a lot of things that go on within our country and needing answers as far as like putting it to the person that's at fault, everything being accounted for, blah, blah, blah. Everything I dealt with in my time in corporate America was the exact same fucking way. The time wasted just to prove points, put the iron fist down, say, I'm that motherfucker. That really is a deal.
Right
and
on.
It's sad because it's counterintuitive. Rather than saying, hey, let's get back on track. Let's look at the big picture here and let's just go with it. No, it's very similar and it's sad, but I don't even think I'm at the point now where I don't even want to vote because somebody, especially like Biden, that guy doesn't have two pennies to rub together as far as
let's go, like Brandon.
Brain cells. As far as brain cells, he's just going along for whatever it's taking to get the vote. Trump had more of a stronghold in which, you know, he was willing to implement a lot of policies and put things into effect that weren't popular. And it's sad because a lot of people don't want that guy in office. Obviously, Trump got out. They want a guy that's just going to sit back and let it go. Because I think, personally, a lot of people are just sick and fed up with politics. So I think our country is going to sadly go in the decline and not be that strong, you know, country that we've been because people are just sick of it. You know, people are sick of working 40 plus hours a week, which if you work 40 hours a week in this country and you make a good living, you're fucking lucky. Yeah. You know, if you get if you get weekends off and the majority of the holidays off, and for some people 1 week vacation, a lot of people you hope for 2+ weeks. Like it's getting to the point, like look when we were children.
I'm on my second vacation this year, so I'm a lucky man. So.
And you're 33, right?
Yes.
All right.
Highest degree of Freemason.
I'm 34. I'm a year older. When we were kids, you remember Bankers
We look good for our age.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel hung up and dried out. But do you remember when we were kids? Do you remember Bankers Hours as maybe like a 12-year-old?
Bankers Hours.
Yeah, 9 to 5 weekend.
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, yeah. Just the average job is what it was supposed to be. A standard, like that's what people were doing. You know, that's what was expected.
Right. We look at it in the bankers.
The American dream to have that that shift. You know.
Oh my God. You know, the fact that it was 9 to 5 and weekends off, and slowly as I got older, and, you know, I got to the point where I got a checking count like 16, 17 after I got my first job. And it got to the point to where it's like, oh shit, this place is open on Saturday now. So I can, because, you know, you're at school from 8 to 4 and you don't want to rush to the bank because you're fucking 17 and you're doing stupid shit because you're 17-year-old. So you say, oh, wow, they're open Saturdays now. And they were open 9 to 12 and it became 8 to 1. Well, our society is slowly implementing that to where you could put enough on people's plate over time, but do it slowly to where the person just kind of like works their way into it and doesn't notice it. And we just keep on and on and on. And after this pandemic, with the whole job, I almost want to call it a job crisis. You know, people realizing that maybe after being off work, or, you know, the monkey see, monkey do aspect of people walking out of their jobs or not going back to work, or maybe even, you know, rethinking their lifestyle, saying, why did I have to get up every day and live for, you know, what I had when I can easily just chime it down? Because think about it, for a long time, we weren't going out to the bars. If we were going out to eat, we weren't going out in the big groups, the fun settings we had. And it gets to the point to where it's like, oh shit, you're saving money. Yeah, you miss those experiences, but we've been told, like, you know, stay in, depending on where you're at. And it's got a lot of people rethinking, you know, as far as how they're going to live their daily life.
I will say here in Columbus, people really don't acknowledge any of the lockdown rules, luckily, at least right now. The Roosters across the street from me is always packed. I go to a bar usually on Thursdays. It's always packed. No one wears the mask. I know not everyone's got the jab. most of the stores you go into, about 50% of the people are wearing the masks, you know, depending on what store. A lot more people wearing the masks at Target than at Walmart, of course, but
That
I
makes
never
sense.
do. So
That comes down to like that's a good point, actually. Walmart, you might find more working class people compared to Target, maybe more of your stay at home mom,
absolutely, yeah.
single income works because dad is doing well, and that's why she's there at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and maybe she's taking care of the kid. I don't want to go too far in that, but you're in a red state. You're in Ohio.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Red. I've said this before, but Ohio is a very, very red state, except the center where I live.
Well,
the thing is, I'm more on the southern end of Columbus, which is more of the southern side of Ohio, which is it's closer to West Virginia, which the more south you go, you know, the more, which I'm from right on the river, right on the border of West Virginia. Like it was like 2 miles down the road, I'd get to West Virginia.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I'm from like a very rural area. So the more north you go in Ohio, the more blue it kind of gets, I guess. And luckily where I live in Ohio, it's not like in Columbus, it's not like the super rich area or whatever, where it is more up north, where, you know, so you'll probably see more of that up north than where I am. But yeah, I like that I can go into most places. I've never had anyone say anything to me when I walk into a store not wearing a mask or anything like that. So luckily that's going on here, but I know that's not the case everywhere.
Right.
I've gotten some weird looks, but you know, no one's saying anything to me yet.
You know, this is outdated, but this is what I remember. I think it was the 2012 election. It may have been the 16, and it probably hasn't changed, but the entire state of Ohio was actually red except for 2 counties. Harrison County, which is Cincinnati, it was blue, and then whatever county it is that's Cleveland, and it was blue. But that made up such a lion's share of the population because of those are the 2 biggest cities that, you know, say you have 12 million people in Ohio. I think that's about accurate, isn't it? Maybe 8, 9 people.
I think it's like around 8 to 9. I could be wrong.
And then so in that metropolitan areas, I've got a buddy from Cincy, and I've been to Cincinnati, and that makes up of like 2.3 million itself. So bam, there's over a quarter of the state. Cleveland probably has about 1.5, 1.8 million in their metropolitan. So you look at all that, and it's like, all right, bam, that's nearly half. And then you got to go across every little fucking county and city and town within Ohio just to make up all those votes in retrospect. It's crazy. It's really nuts. And I tell you where I'm from is really nuts because the majority of big cities in America, sadly, are blue. And Fort Worth and Tulsa are 2 of the biggest cities in America that are red. And Fort Worth this last election went fucking purple. In my county alone, I looked at the results, and I voted Republican, and I voted Trump. But my county alone, I'm telling you, it was like 51-49. Fort Worth is about to go blue. They called it purple because it was that close. We're purple, and it's about to go blue. And I don't ever think about it, you know, because I just wake up and do everyday life. And I'm not going to go into details in Fort Worth because it's got a bad history with like racism and just the kind of current, like the current temperature that's been here for a long time. And, you know, with the demographics changing and just the way that today is, like it's
hey, going back to what you were saying about the blue cities. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Don't you think it's ironic that a lot of the times have, you know, at least they used to say this, that like Republicans represented the rich people, but yet all of the cities where it costs the most money to live, they're all blue, you know, like it's I feel like it's flipped, or it's always been flipped and they've been lying to us. One or the other, you know. I just got red pilled like 4 years ago. So, you know, I haven't been in the game. I was raised blue, honestly. And I had a lot of those views my whole life. Even though I felt like something was always off personally. And then kind of got on my own there for a few years and figured things out, saw the world a whole different way. But I just think it's all flip-flopped, man. They say that, you know, the Republicans are the rich party, but yet all the Republicans live in the rural areas, it seems like, and all the blue people live in the rich areas. in the
Well,
center.
it's extremely difficult to pinpoint because a county might be blue, but say 62% of the people, vote Democrat. Well, the other, simple math, 38% vote Republican. And so that county's blue because 62% of it is voting Democrat. What it comes down to is that whole 1% or 2%. Okay, so where are the jobs at? Well, they're in the infrastructure of the big city. So down here, all your oil mongers are going to be in Dallas, Houston, just the big cities. And so you got those guys that are there, and then you got, like anywhere, your working class, and then you got your lower middle class, because for society to work, we have to have the jobs that are out there. I don't need to sound like a piece of shit and go into the different jobs because we know what they are. There's food services, there's janitorial, there's just any kind of customer service. And then you go into like the hospital sector where you got your nurses, doctors, even the people that sterilize the equipment. I mean, there's a job for everybody. And so when you get to those rural areas, the reason why they're red is because they all have that fucking mindset. You might come into a county in Texas that's a county or two out from Dallas or Fort Worth or Houston or Austin or any of that, and the majority of those people are all going to be Republican. Well, yeah, you come into the big cities, you're going to have a lot of Republicans because they're the ones in the 1% making the big money, wanting to keep their money in their pocket and keep the people like us below them. Well, they're going to exist, but, for them to exist, you have to have the people that work below them to do the jobs that are in that sector. And so you can't really pinpoint that because of that, sadly.
Yeah. I want to say hi to the chat real quick. Mitz is here. She's awesome. She's a lot of my streams. She says, "Good evening, gentlemen." So hi, Mitz. And she also says, most of York is red. It's just the cities that are blue. I'm in the rural parts of Buffalo and Niagara Falls.
Hey, there's one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was running into this where I met you on Billy's stream. This might boot me, and I might have to come back, but this is driving me nuts. I hit the comments to see the chat, and I don't remember if I hit this X button, if it gets me out. I need to get out of the screen.
Oh, you're fine. I can get you right back, man.
Okay, perfect. I got to do this because if I'm like looking all around like a crazy person, it's because I can't actually.
Maybe a swipe or something, but I'm not sure.
It's not, and I don't want to.
We're in our 30s. We're not that technologically advanced anymore.
We went from normal phones to smartphones, and the old people look at us like we're supposed to know, and it's like, But let me go ahead and try this, and if it boots me, I'm going to come right back, okay?
That's cool, man. You got the link.
It didn't. Perfect. I should have done that 10 minutes ago. It's literally been like that for 10 minutes.
Every time I try to share a screen, it takes me like 5 minutes because I have to relearn it because I'm just getting rough at it, man. Getting old.
Well, how long have you had your channel for?
I've had it for probably about 3 years now. But it was something completely different when I first started my channel. I've kind of discussed this prior, but it was more about, like, I was talking about movies and media, and like I was big into Star Wars and stuff like that. It was more of a nerdy thing. And then I started getting red pilled and shit. And The Last Jedi, Star Wars, just was the last straw for me. So
is it because of PC reasons?
I was like, I'm not talking about Star Wars anymore because that's what they want. They want me to talk about it. They don't need it's not because it's good, but they just want people to talk about it. I'm like, I'm not talking about it,
It's not the same. I think
F that.
I think when I met you in Billy's stream, we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing is organic anymore. They are pushing an agenda, and for the things that we try to aspire to go and partake, that to bring back nostalgia and say, okay, you remember the Star Wars as a kid. I want that to keep going and going and going. And you go see it and they bring that bullshit in there. You think, oh God, the one place that I was really hoping they wouldn't do this shit, they did it.
Yep.
Because the market's there. They say, okay, here's this $5 million budget film that we're hoping to bring 15 million back on. Small market film. We're lucky if we can do that. We threw a B-lister and a C-lister in to get them there. Star Wars, fuck no. That's the biggest film series of all time. And for people like you that are into that, to have to go and then the end results have that. It's like, God, why? Why? Because you're making me turn, and I'm not a Star Wars fan, but for you to have to turn on what could be, and I don't know, but you're saying you're a big Star Wars fan, what could be your favorite film series of all time, for them to go that route, it's really sad.
Dude, I mean, you said it. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I don't really watch movies as much as I used to. Like, I used to be really big into the Marvel stuff. I haven't seen any of the ones since Endgame at all. Like, none of them. This new Spider-Man looks all right. I'll probably see that just because, you know, Spider-Man, of course. But you know, that stuff just doesn't interest me anymore. Like, I'm kind of seeing past it. It's like, you know, seeing the man behind the curtain almost. Like, I see what's being propagated through all this stuff now, and it's hardly entertainment. You know, it's very rare. Like, I'm really hoping this new Ghostbusters movie is decent, because Ghostbusters is in my top 5 of all times, man. I love Ghostbusters, and you know, we already had one bad one. I don't want to see it happen again. Even
I was
though,
gonna
like,
say, don't
actually, we
count
had
on
2
it.
if you count 2. But
Do you know the ultimate way to manipulate somebody is not overnight? That's just the way it is. You just have to like sprinkle and like bird feed just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit more to get people involved to the point where they don't notice they're even being fucking brainwashed. And for a lot of these movies that are coming out and TV shows where they're just flipping the script entirely, people aren't with it. And all you have to do is go on social media and look at comments through places like Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and see what other people are saying. Say, oh yeah, I have a voice myself, but other people are saying this shit too. And so what we're going to run into is a lot of people are going to see these new TV shows, these remakes, and all these movies that are remakes that have no similarity whatsoever other than the brand title that they're under. And they're going to say, no, this isn't what I remember as a child. Yes, I'm okay with any kind of progression because we need to get better as a society, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't remember, and this is a touchy one because this could get you in trouble. I'm not going to go there. But when you flip the script, when you flip the script and that character is not the same person that you remember them being, people are out on it. And so what's going to happen is these Hollywood woke fucking progressive industry that's going on, it's going to go so long as far as them failing in the box office that they're end up going to go back to how it was and say, shit, you know, we tried. We want to not put any kind of categories at line that, you know, on like a racial standpoint or like a male to female standpoint. I'm going to get to the point to where people are like, they're not watching it. If I watch things, I'm very selective.
I feel like it's already to that point. They're lying to us. I'm going to get conspiratorial on you here,
We're lied to. And like I said,
I'm going to get conspiratorial.
The way to change it is you have to do it really slowly. You can't flip the switch. Like Annie. Annie was a little redhead girl in the 70s or 60s. Karate Kid was Ralph Macchio. Then it became Will Smith's kid. We're not stupid. Nothing against Will Smith's kid. Nothing against the little girl that played the new Annie a few years ago. The all-female Ghostbusters cast. Maybe there's a crowd for that. But when you go through nostalgia and the shit that you watched as a kid, that doesn't push the needle for me. For me.
Here's what I was gonna say, man. Is if I can get conspiratorial here for a minute, Hollywood is no longer based on them making a profit. It's all just, if you, like we were talking about earlier, it just comes from the man. They don't care about how much money they lose. It's not about that. It's about pushing a message. And they don't care how good it does at the box office because it's not being funded by these studios anymore. It's being funded by, who knows, governments at this point. You know what I mean? And that's why all of these actors, you see the same actors over and over, or someone just comes out of nowhere and they're the biggest star of all time. And even though they're not that good of an actor, you know, it's people sell their souls, in my opinion. Like I said, getting a little conspiratorial. I'm reading Mitz's comment real quick. She says, I don't watch TV anymore. Movies don't do it for me either unless I'm watching for symbolism. And that's true. I do that a lot myself. I love Isaac Weishaupt. I'm actually wearing his shirt right now, I think. Yeah, I'm wearing my Isaac Weishaupt shirt. If you don't know who he is, conspiracy theories and unpopular culture, check out that podcast. And it's a lot about Illuminati and occult symbolism. But absolutely, it just, I haven't had cable in a few years. I don't even use like the Hulu subscription that I really have unless I just have something on in the background. It's just fiction doesn't do it for me anymore when reality is so crazy now, you know?
You know what hurts me the most too, Hoff, is the fact that, like I said, I'm very selective in what I watch. The thing that creeps up on me that I can't control unless I guess in some instances you can pay extra for it. And I look at it as in like, why? I like to maybe like put my face in my phone when this comes down to it, is commercials. When I select what I want to watch on TV, that's my selection. But when these commercials come on and you see, for example, and I'm not a homophobe, but I don't want to see this, two guys laying in bed together for an insurance commercial, as far as like their car honking the horn, the beep going off and saying, oh, you didn't take care of that yet? No, blah, blah, blah. The moral is I'm watching two guys lay in bed together. I don't want to watch two guys lay in bed together. Good for them. They're doing their thing, whatever. It's nothing. I have no opinion on it. You know, it's that, but do I want to like watch that? No. So then that bullshit's being brought to me. The commercials are what's really a big part of the problem.
I hate commercials, dude. If anyone knows me, they know I hate advertisements. If I have buddies over and we're watching a hockey game, when the ads come on, I mute the TV every time. They're like, what are you doing? The first like time they were over, they're like, what are you doing? I was like, I can't take this. It's the same ads every time. They annoy me. I want to kill that gecko so bad. I want to write a song called Kill the Gecko, man. Kill the gecko, kill the gecko.
I had to work with Geico Insurance. I'm an insurance adjuster. I didn't work for them. I had to work with them, and they are the scum of the earth. I'm not
back to what you're saying about the diversity in ads, man. To me, it's not that big of a problem. Once again, I mean, I do agree with you on this. I'm not a homophobe, but at the same time, I don't want to see that. But the point I'm going to make is they've completely annihilated in ads just a straight family of any one race, and it doesn't matter if they're all black or if they're all white or if they're all Asian or if they're all Indian. They're all interracial now.
It doesn't make sense.
The kids don't match what they look like when they're in the back seat of the car. You got like a black guy and a white woman in the front seat and two Asians in the back seat and 5-year-old Asians.
Fabricating shit and it doesn't make sense.
And like, it's not that
you off, but
you're fine.
We're confusing the absolute shit out of everybody. And what it's going to do is it's going to anger people, because our next generation of kids are going to be lied to. And there's a chance we may have been lied to growing up in our schooling system, as far as the history, as far as U.S. history or whatever state history you were in. Maybe we were. You know, we painted the picture of America and how strong and almighty we are. But there's a reason why we have borders, okay? We tried taking over northern parts of
I mean, I agree with you on this.
We tried taking parts of the north of the Great Lakes, and there's a reason why it stopped the Great Lakes. Our Navy had to get involved to try to fight off the Canadians. And Canadians, up to World War II, and I love Canadian people, don't get me wrong. This is going to be a bad one. I hope there's no Canadians.
Love hockey, man. No.
Canadians used to be some bad motherfuckers. The Nazis during World War II feared the Canadians. Those guys were hardcore. And so up to that, the United States got squirrely in the 17 and 1800s as far as pushing the boundaries along the lakes. And there's a reason why the borders are where they're at. We tried getting a little further than than we should have. And the funny thing about that is it's a weird relationship, Canada and us, that United States has, because 80% of the Canadian population lives within like 60 miles of the U.S. border. So look at Vancouver.
The rest of it's just all, you know, it's mountains and stuff. Yeah,
it's territories is what it is. You got Vancouver that's 45 miles from Seattle, maybe like 70, like tops. Toronto is basically Buffalo. Like,
yeah,
it's just nuts, because like how the times have changed. But I mean, shit, look how they had to live raw. I mean, they had to live like Brad Pitt, or not Brad Pitt. What's his name? Leo DiCaprio in that Covenant movie. They had to be strong like that back then.
Revenant.
Yeah, The Revenant. I mean, think about it. It's
I've never seen
survival.
that.
If you're bored, it's worth watching. There's no PC bullshit in it, so you might like it for that.
No, I like Leo, man. Big fan of Leo. I think his Illuminate confirmed, but
Probably.
regardless, great actor, and I always wanted to see it. I just hear it's like a 3-hour movie, so I just never got around to watching it.
It wasn't a tough watch. You do have to prepare yourself. Do you have ADD?
I usually, if a movie is over 2 hours, I usually have to watch it in 2 parts.
Got you. I had to do that with The Irishman. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I actually did watch that movie. Yeah, in 2 parts. Yes,
I had to do it 2 parts. 3 hours and some change.
Crazy movie.
Yeah, it is. And there wasn't what we're talking about as far as any push and like PC bullshit. What really makes me mad is
it was a little boring in some parts there, but
last year to get away from all the PC bullshit and watch something normal with some substance. Last year I went back and watched The Sopranos for my second time. I've
never seen that either, man.
It's worth it, dude. You won't get any PC bullshit. Period. Zero.
There's only a few like TV series that I've watched from start to finish that were like stories. One was Dexter, and Breaking Bad. Those were my 2 shows back in the day. Okay. I've watched maybe a couple since then, but I never got into Game of Thrones or anything like that. I always my favorite shows are like Seinfeld and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, dude,
those are the ones I put on.
I've seen every episode of It's Always Sunny.
I've probably 5 times at least. But
well, that's actually overall that's my favorite show of all time. I would say like a couple different shows, but they don't fall in a sitcom category. That's
what I meant. Like
that's my favorite sitcom of all time.
I haven't watched like a drama series. I watched Twin Peaks there a couple years ago, actually. Not that it was like a new show, but whenever 2018 season came out, I watched all of them. So that was good, man. I love Twin Peaks.
I'll have to check that out. Like I said, because of the climate we've been in, I have trust issues as far as what the hell I'm going to start to watch, because a lot of shows you don't really get warmed up until about the 3rd, 4th episode for a good series. When you're looking at a series, something like a sitcom, like It's Always Sunny, it's 30 minutes of just pure entertainment. As far as I mean, they go in and they hit hard quick. I mean, and they tell you the thing I love about It's Always Sunny is they tell you the episode name with like on the caption screen, and so you're like, oh, okay, you know, Matt gets ran over by a fucking car. Not an episode, but just a shit example.
The gang solved the gas crisis.
Exactly. Yeah, the gas crisis episode. You're like, oh, I wonder how they're going to do this. And of course, it's not always even relevant. It's their fucked up sideways take on things. And that's why that show's awesome.
I love
Danny DeVito made that show.
Yo, absolutely, man.
Look at season 1.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Oh, season 1, before he was on there, it was going to be watchable. It was. But then he came in there, and the whole plot twist where this little 4'11", bald-headed fucking munchkin is their father, you know, and he was and they're like, Dee's like 5'10" and some change, and Dennis is like 6 foot, tall, thin. Yeah, the bird, tall, thin, just good-looking people. It's like, how did they stem from that guy? And the fact that he wasn't the actual father. Yeah,
your mother was a whore.
She's a whore. Yeah, that was great, man. I love that show.
I'm on the fence.
What the boundaries are on YouTube. Like I said, when I met you last time, when I was talking to Billy and you, I said I would not get a fucking YouTube channel because you don't. It's not written out the boundaries that you have to push. Somebody can just
the goalposts change every day. By the way, there's no boundaries. There's no rules. They just hit you when they want to hit you, and you gotta just hope you didn't say the wrong thing the night before. And you know, most of the times, actually, the 2 strikes that I've had, they came after I had live streams. The next day, they weren't on the live streams. I've never had a strike on a live stream. They were on videos I put out months prior that weren't live streams. I've never had a strike on a live stream.
Do you keep the live stream
better? Yeah, I keep most of them up, and then I put them on BitChute as well, just to keep them safe. You know, I do actually do a lot better on BitChute. I have like 1% of the subscribers on BitChute, but my videos get more views because I'm less shadow banned there.
Oh wow! So Walmart needs a Target. Mercedes-Benz needs BMW. YouTube needs something, and it's not Twitch.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different sites. I'm trying to get like on Odyssey, but I'm not having much luck there. I'm having a lot of luck on BitChute. A lot of people seem to be watching the videos on BitChute. So I always put the link in the description for that.
It's not there yet. What's happening as far as a different platform is it was Vine, and then they spun out. Now it's TikTok, and they're 110% going to spin out. Watch it. 3 years, TikTok won't be shit. People will be talking about TikTok like we're talking about Vine.
3 years, I wouldn't give it that, man.
I'm being generous. I'm being generous.
Yeah,
I'm being generous. I'm being generous because
something else will be out.
I don't want to sound too aggressive in the sense, say, oh, TikTok's not going to be shit in 18 months. It'll still be there, but man, it's word of mouth. And what it is and one of the things I sent you in the email as far as topics, as far as like where the millennials are at, the generation after us, and where like generation X or Z is. Z, hell, I don't know. Before us, it just comes down to that lifestyle as far as what they're talking about, we're not talking about. So they have their own little secret code. That's why things go viral. That's why all those 17-year-old rappers with tattoos on their face.
I never want to go viral.
Have no kind of like appeal for us because they're 17. They weigh 130 pounds. And they have tattoos on their face. You know, we're 33, 34. We grew up in a different generation where we make fun of these kids. And we say these kids don't have a dog in the fight. They're entitled. But hell, the generation older than us says we're entitled. It's like, God damn, at least we didn't grow up with smartphones in our hand. You know, I wasn't able to do this 15 years ago when I was in high school.
I want to go back to the flip phone.
I was good. Yeah, I was good for a text message and maybe some Snake. You know?
Yeah, a little bit of Snake on there. Dude,
I was thinking this the other day. Yeah, the old Nokia 5550. But I was thinking this the other day as far as like, call it 2004 or 5 or 6. I don't remember, but internet on a phone was like text in a text format. So like now we're on our smartphone. I can go on anything and see images along with brief details of whatever the hell I'm looking at. Then it was just all like a text platform. You know, you just read.
I remember when I was in college. Yeah, dude, you had to scroll through it like push little like up and down on the little arrows.
There was no appeal.
I remember this guy had a Zune in college and he had video on it of like a wrestling match. I was like, "You got video on your phone?" He's like, "It's not a phone, it's a Zune." I'm like, "I don't even know what's going on." But all right, that's cool.
Dude, music on the phone and the fact that you could take a video was just the greatest thing ever. And it wasn't great footage. Like if you look at a photo of yourself from an old phone, like let's say you got a picture of yourself from 2010, you know, right around the time smartphones started to become common. You look at that photo, it's cringeworthy. The pixels, you know, just the way that everything looked. I mean, these things are updating themselves so fucking quickly.
Why do you think that is?
Because of the desire and the demand. There's those tech heads out there that, and like I said earlier, the guys that are like, oh, the 13's out, I need it. Compared to the guys like me where it's like, well, my 10 may have X amount of time left on it. I'm going to need to see signs of wear.
Yeah, people like us who aren't taking selfies every 10 minutes don't really care about how good the camera is, you know what I mean?
So look at the title of my name.
Not a cuck. Of course
yeah, not a cuck. Exactly. It's those.
I want a trucker hat that says that, bro.
It's those feminine men that give into that, where it's just like, dude, it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, yeah, you might.
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be this way, but don't do it. Just come back to the light.
It doesn't. But hey, I apologize, but I got to ask for one thing. I got to use the men's room, so I'm gonna put the phone down. Give me about a minute or two. I'm gonna grab another beer.
Sure, absolutely, man.
I know it's bad pod, but we've gone on for an hour. And
no, good. I will just keep it going. Do a little bit of discussion here.
Perfect. I'll be right back. I'll even turn the fan on so you can see something moving.
Yeah, hypnotize them with the fan. But yeah, anyone who's watching it right now, I appreciate you watching. Please feel free to leave a comment if you want us to talk about anything. I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. Hopefully a little bit longer. But regardless, we're having a great time. I might have to change the title of this, or at least the screen, the thumbnail for this, because we're not going into any of that at all. We might eventually. I don't know where this is going to lead. Like I said, I don't know how much longer he's going to be with us, but I do appreciate having him here. He was talking about, YouTube channels and whatnot. I hope he starts one of his own, because I would like him to have his own his own little, area of YouTube, or maybe BitChute or something that he can speak his mind on, because I feel like we're only scratching the surface of what Matt Not a Cut Brooks has to say. So I hope you're all doing great tonight. I know it's a Monday. It's not really a party night or nothing like that. Me personally, I'm on vacation, so I'm not too worried about my day tomorrow, luckily. I hope you all do have a great week, though, this week. I'm going to be doing more streams as well. I'm going to be doing probably a solo stream here later this week, and also working on one of my projects that I'll put up on here in BitChute. It's a long project to work on, though, and it's got a lot of moving parts. That's why I don't have it done yet. It's going to be an actual video, not like a live stream or anything like that. So I believe our guest is back. I hope he's feeling better. How you doing, Matt?
I'm back.
Brooks.
Much better. Nothing nothing worse than sitting there in discomfort. Kind of like being on a plane and being in the window seat and having to go to the men's room, and knowing you got two people next to you, you just got to bother. And
or you're in the middle of the aisle at like a sports game.
Is nothing that's even feasible of getting past. They have to get up and they have to get their ass out of the seat and go into the mid aisle. And then you go to the men's room, and then you got to come back and have to do it again. And depending on the time of the flight, you're granted a piss every 3 hours. But if you're that guy that's drinking, and you know how many drinks you can get away with on a flight, they'll serve you. You can buy 2 up front. A good hour needs to go by, depending on the flight length. They'll serve you more. But if they know your intent is to party on a plane, they're not having it.
That's why It's Always Sunny. They brought their own in the car.
If you got that,
remember that one?
If you got that party plane intent, not only are you pissing off the flight attendants that are serving, you're also pissing off your neighbors that you're having to.
Oh, these people on flights now, they're sensitive. I'm scared to fly just because everyone's like they're walking on eggshells and everyone feels like they're a victim.
You got to be super careful, because
I never fly anyway.
Flying,
so I'm scared.
Flying is a lifestyle. People that fly know the lifestyle to it, and they know that you usually have to keep to yourself. If you become too much of a chatty Cathy next to the people that are on the flight, you might annoy them, and you might get a little target on your back. And those flight attendants, their job there is to I'm not trying to sound like a police officer, but protect and serve. They protect by going through the notion.
Protect the food and serve the drinks.
Yeah, ideally that'd be nice, but they show us in case the flight were to go into water. Here's how to put on your flotation device. Here's the exit. Blah blah blah. But they take that shit serious, and I kind of can't blame them. I mean, their planes very rarely, very 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 fucking rarely do crash, and from that certain date at that certain year 20 years ago, fucked up things have happened.
Planes only crash when you're either in a Liam Neeson or Nicolas Cage movie. One or the other.
Exactly. Did I miss something in the chat? I realized how.
I don't think so. I mean, Mitz was just saying insurance is scum. We were talking about
it is
earlier.
And that's
actually life insurance.
That's the sector I'm in, and you get some good companies that will pay out as long as you can justify things. Photo documentation, line notes on why it needs to be done. Hell, even a simple phone call. Hey, I need this because of this. But there are some sketchy motherfuckers out there. And it's usually the no-name fly-by-night insurance companies are the ones you got to worry about. My best friend, he got in a wreck 7 weeks ago now. He's still in a rental. That doesn't happen. Those insurance companies, the big insurance companies, get you out in 30 days, 30-day policy. Because he got hit by a company who were self-insured, they are going through the worst business tactics ever. And I told him, I said, hey, if they'll keep paying for that fucking rental, go for it. You're driving around a free car, basically, where you're not putting wear and tear on your own car. Yeah, it's sad because you want the payouts to come through with what they should pay you. And I even told him, I said, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with your salvage value. yeah, your car was in great shape, but you must have been over on miles. He's like, yes, I was over on miles. I said, that's it. So don't be surprised when they want to come at you for a little bit less money because you had an X year car with X amount of miles on it. But I mean, I guess he's gaming them. He's still in a rental.
Fair enough, man. Hey, do you mind if I take the same 2-minute break?
Go for it.
You talk about whatever you want to talk about. I got a couple more subjects. I don't know how long you're going to be here. I'm not going to keep you
Let
too
me tell you how
long,
much
but you're
battery I have. I've got 33%. So I've got about 25 minutes.
nice. Because as I was saying when you were gone, man, I feel like we've hardly scratched the surface, and I hope you make your own channel. So, yeah, I'll be right back myself, man.
Certainly. I'll put the phone down. I'll pick it back up when you get back. All right, everyone. I hope we still have an audience here. Hoff should be back momentarily.
I'm back.
There he is.
See, try to be not too unprofessional there.
Try myself. This is the first actual legitimate called podcast I've been on. You know, more so than just like where I met you in Billy's stream where it's, hey, hop on the podcast, give your 2 cents. I'll work on, I'm in the process of moving here soon. As soon as I get settled, it won't be anything to get a laptop, but to have, you know, an actual camera stable in front of me so I'm not all over the place. It's just,
I mean, dude, you can do it just the way you are. Just my advice is get started and get a following and then build on that, man, because the hardest part is to get the following, and that's, I mean, it's really hard to do.
well, you know, I don't even
and
want
I don't
that.
I'm not saying I want a following for money. I've said this a million times. I'm not looking for monetary gain or nothing like that. I'm here to be in a community, to meet new people, and to spread a message, and maybe try to build something in this world that is not, it's anti-mainstream. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm in it for.
I'm super discouraged from having any kind of podcast or YouTube channel or even streaming on places like Meet Me or any of that other shit. It could be for me. There may be an audience, but I don't want to go that route. I don't.
Well, fair enough, man. I hope you do somehow make your voice known. People. You know,
I enjoy coming on and supporting people. I go to a few YouTube channels and I just see one in particular. He gets destroyed, and he asks for it, and people go there for the wrong reasons because he's an idiot, and he kind of caters. He's admitted to it on his channel. He's kind of admitted that some of the fuckery and shenanigans and the unfortunate things go on. He notices how it brings volume in, but that's not the people that you want in on there. And so he gets a lot of dislikes or thumbs down, and he gets just a lot of haters in there.
I've always said I would rather have a smaller group of people who are really into what I'm saying and know what I'm saying rather than a ton of people who don't care at all.
Yeah.
And, you know,
well, it's easy to be a decent human being. And sadly, sometimes those shitbags out there, they get all that clout, and it's like, dude, you asked for it. But over time, it's going to wear at you. It's going to wear at you.
Mitz says, hope you guys are gathering your tribes. Well, Mitz, I think you're in the Hoffcast tribe now. Just saying. You
Cheers,
show
Mitz.
up a lot. I love it. Cheers to Mitz.
What's are you still on the Miller Lights?
Yeah, man. Like I went to this whole supply chain breakdown ain't no joke, man. They didn't have hardly anything at the store the other day. This ain't no joke.
Dude, I've got one of my best friends. He's in
I
logistics.
normally like Rolling Rock, but
he's in logistics, and he's saying that every trucker in California in the ports, they're basically calling their prices as far as to get like loads across the country. And the fact that he's saying that with current fuel prices, that's fucking scary. Very scary. Very, like, I have inside source. Like, he's a wealthy dude too. Like, he could quit his job at any point. He's a smart guy, very intelligent, college educated, got into Bitcoin really early. He's teetering around a millionaire. Depending on the day, he's a millionaire. Depending on if guys like Elon Musk get on national television and say stupid shit, maybe he's not a millionaire. But right now he's a millionaire, and he gives wise advice, and he informs me on shit like this. We inform each other on the current temperature on each other's sectors, and what business we're in, and that's scary. And everything, especially going on with minimum wage going up as high as it is, the value of the dollar. Yeah, we all need to make more money. We all want to make more money, and that works for us. Hoff, here's how much you make. Matt, here's how much you make. Yeah, good for us. But when the norm becomes X amount of dollars per hour for X job, where you look back and say, what the fuck? That didn't pay that 8 months ago. Well, inflation is obviously a thing, and things start to go up in price. And you've got this 2016 mindset where I'm not going to pay that for that. Well, that's what it's running, and you're going to learn to pay for that, or you're going to go without. And back to the narcissism thing from earlier, way earlier, treading back. A lot of people don't want to go without, man. They really don't.
No, man. This is actually something I wanted to touch on. I'm glad we're talking about it. Is like the whole supply chain breakdown, and we do live in a society that's been coddled for a long time, and for especially the last decade with the advancements in technology that have become the norm, going from, as we've said before, like flip phones to these smartphones, like almost like not overnight, but it was a quick transition, right? Like, it took a while to get from VHS to Blu-ray, but from a flip phone to a smartphone, it just seemed like a matter of like 5 to 10 years, and we got everything you need on there, or want, and just it's, to me, I think that it is going to shake a lot of people, and that's only going to cause more chaos. I hope more people wake up and see that they don't need these things. That's what I hope for. But there's going to be the other side of the coin that react to it opposite, where we need these. I need this, even though they don't need it to live,
Phone addiction is the #1 addiction, period.
Hey, right before you go any further, I wanted to comment on that. I haven't had Facebook in like 4 or 5 years. I think it's about 5 years now, because one day I was just sitting in my chair and I was on Facebook, and I had no intention to pick up my phone or get on Facebook. It was like a habit. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, I didn't even have the mindset to, hey, I want to pick up my phone and look at Facebook. I literally just did it without thinking. That's when I deleted it. I deleted it that moment.
What the smartphone brings is instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
You go from being bored and lost to picking up your phone, clicking it over with the face. It used to be the thumb, the thumb technology. Now it's face recognition, to instant gratification. You're in whatever app you want, whatever website you want, anything, ordering your food. I don't have to get into details because I've already basically mentioned it. It's instant gratification, and it brings pleasure to you immediately, and you get into a place where you're comfortable. And one of the saddest things for people I noticed, and I was talking to my best friend and our other friend that was over here the other day. They're 2 musicians in my studio room back there. I think I showed you before. We were talking about how, back when I was like in junior college, we're talking about mid-2000s, how the biggest thing is, as soon as everybody got in a class, they were on their phones talking, just making phone calls because they wanted to feel important. It was them being busy with their phone. Now the fact that all I have to do is just like pawn you off like this, like, oh, I'm busy. People want that feeling. The fact that I can pawn you off right now and act like I've got the second phone over here and I'm busy, people like that feeling. Anywhere you go, what are people doing? They're on their phone. And it
makes them feel more important than, well, I'm not saying that they are, but in the wrong way, maybe. You
It's
know,
sad.
yeah,
It's disgusting.
yeah.
And
Do you ever
nobody
listen
wants to talk about phone addiction because it's not sexy. They're gonna say, "Well, do you want to go without it?" I don't. All right, shh, hush, hush. We're not gonna talk about this. It's like, well, with Apple, which you have an Apple, they tell you on a weekly standpoint where was your view time at that week, and if you look at it, certain weeks can be pretty disgusting.
Mine's usually pretty low, man. Not gonna lie. One week I had like an app on. I think that just kept running, and it went from like an hour and 10 minutes a day to like 14 hours a day. I was like, no, I was not on my phone 14 hours. There was an app running in the background or something like that. But there's this musician artist I like. I guess if you want to call him a rapper, Tom McDonald. Have you ever listened to him?
No,
Good stuff. He's like he talks about all the stuff just about
I've
the world
heard. Yes,
yeah.
I do know of him.
And he says one of his lyrics are all the phones got smart, but the people so dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like these phones, we could use them to learn, and they have tools on them that we can use for good things. But all people want to do is snap a picture of their ass on it and put it on Instagram with some quote underneath like "life is beautiful" or something.
Going
you know,
to get Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
No, I saw that. There was a lady on Snapchat. She's probably 21, 22, a social media celebrity, and she has her ass out. She's doing the whole, seahorse look, like a French model, looking back with it popped out. And literally in the caption it says, "Going to get Chick-fil-A." Well, what in the fuck is popping your ass?
Hope to get some dick.
That's what it should say. What the fuck does eating Chick-fil-A have to do with the innuendo that you're portraying a sexual photo for men to be interested? And no woman is going to look at themselves as an easy woman and I don't want to get you kicked off, man. I'm biting my tongue here.
You're good, dude.
I really am. I'm holding the fuck back. But nobody's going to look at them, think of themselves that way and say, "Oh, I'm promiscuous," or "I'm the W word," or anything.
Well, in my head, I'm like, hey, I like Chick-fil-A too. Maybe this girl's on my level.
There you go.
Maybe that's part of it.
They look at themselves at the end of the day as just the average woman, and they're not. They're just reeking of sexual innuendos, and they're portraying that image, and they feel like if they're not doing it, they won't be where everyone else is at, and that's wrong. That's sad. Be a step above.
This might sound like kind of off the wall or far-fetched, but this is what I truly believe, man. I believe social media is a form of selling your soul. I truly do. I really, really do. And all of the stuff that you do on there is recorded forever. This is going to be recorded forever, even though they'll take it off and say it's not because I said something. But
so many points are touched. We're like, all right, these guys understand, and we need to shut them up quick because this is going to cost a lot of money. Because if people were to go through the motions, and first off, just admit the problem. Like, yeah, I'm the woman that does that. Or, hey, I'm the guy that does that. It's like, well, then you get these group of people that come to realization that this isn't the way it should be. And although we may be perceived as boring, that to live potentially, I'm not going to say to live I'm going to say to live potentially a happy and healthy lifestyle, to cut that shit out. But women's insecurities are up tenfold. Based off this, they're looking at all these women on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and saying, well, this is what people are after. How do I get there? And you're asking 21-year-old women to get, Botox and plastic surgery. It's like you are at your youngest adult form, period. The difference between 21, 29, 30 to 39, so forth. It's like as soon as you get Botox, you can't unfuck that. The minute you get Botox, you have to get Botox the rest of your life.
And also you got shit like OnlyFans going on where, that's like easy money for chicks. Don't matter who he is, and I think that might help some women's self-identities maybe a little bit, that they're making money. But at the same time, it's basically whoring yourself out, and I don't know if you're a religious man at all. I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual. Okay, well, fair enough, man.
I mentioned it last time in Billy's stream.
But I don't.
Which is an oxymoron. A Texan that's atheist. People like me don't exist. They might.
But I don't think it's a good thing to do for yourself. Either way, whether you're religious or not, I don't think that whoring yourself out online for money. And bless these ladies, that's fine. It's their decision. you know, but I just don't know if it's healthy for society or for their own lives, especially going forward. If, you know, they have kids one day and stuff, and they're like, oh, mommy, I found you online.
But look at the common realm. Those women that would do that aren't the ones that are getting married to have kids. Those women are the ones that are out there having kids out of wedlock.
That's true.
And they said, well, I mean,
not 100%, but, you know.
Well, no. So what? Not 100%. No. I would never say that. What we're running into is a society that wants to point the finger and say, for every broken woman, there should be a broken man. And for every man that's broken, there should be a broken woman. And so on each side, you're getting a lot of both. You're getting a lot of deadbeat fathers, and you're getting a lot of single mothers. Should the single mother have read that guy's character and said, you know what, maybe we should get married, maybe we should do it the right way? They're saying, no, we failed to wear protected sex, maybe you'll pay child support.
So you agree, like earlier, like kind of what you're talking about, they're trying to destroy, as they say, the nuclear family, where there's like a nucleus. I'm not saying nuclear isn't like a bomb, like the
right.
nuclear family where there's like a, you know, the system with the, you know.
No, nuclear family is your family, your wife and kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Like your mother and father are not your.
It goes back to like the ads we were talking about earlier and stuff, where they're trying to show, and there's nothing wrong with interracial relationships or anything like that, but at the same time, they are trying to depict all this stuff with that you can't be a normal family if you believe in traditional values. And also, you see, this is on a different point, but if you watch anything like I'm a big fan of the show MasterChef, not so much anymore because it's just fake as hell. It's the fakest show of all time. But like 90% of the contestants on MasterChef are single moms, and they always have a sob story. But you know,
I get that.
Like,
and I never watched MasterChef, but what is that on ABC, NBC, CBS?
I just watch it on Hulu now. I think Gordon Ramsay owns like half of Hulu.
But what's the mother company of it? Is it ABC?
Fox.
Okay. So the only, like, I call it regular TV as far as the ABC, NBC, CBS. The only show that I watch them obsessed with is Shark Tank, and they do the exact same thing. I'm an immigrant that came here with nothing. Parents came here with nothing. I work hard. I'm crying.
That one's a good one too. They use.
Oh, yeah. I love Shark Tank.
No, I mean like the immigrant story, but yeah, Shark Tank's not a bad show either.
Right, and they come in with that, and you know, you get as soon as they say it, they go right, you know, camera on to the shark. How are they going to react? Are they an insensitive piece of shit, or are they willing to hear like the sob story that went on? And of course, they sell it, and they sell the fuck out of it. And the sharks are good people. I don't really question any of their intentions, honestly. So yeah, it's fabricated to that bullshit. But at the end of the day, like, you can't fake that. Like, if I went on there, and I have less sympathy, obviously, than they do, because I'm not a billionaire or a billionaire like Mark Cuban. So I'm going to be like, okay, you know, yeah, maybe my story wasn't as bad as yours. But the common realm with every motherfucker on Shark Tank is not only are they college educated, but they have an even higher level of education. They all have their masters or doctorates. And every single one of them, the sharks say, hey, what's your background? They say, oh, well, I started out in tech, and now I'm on this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, I got my master's at Harvard. And a lot of times, whatever caters to the fucking company they're in, they'll say economics. Well, that guy that has a degree in economics has an app for an easier way to go through with credit card transactions or whatever. You know, it all kind of like chimes in. So I don't really feel bad for them because they're on Shark Tank and they're pitching their product. And even if their product doesn't sell or get a deal, oh, they're going to sell. Whatever they sold before, now you're getting that free marketing on Shark Tank. I don't feel bad for any of them.
I want to be clear that I have nothing against single moms. In fact, single moms, if you want to, my email's in the description, single moms.
My mother's a single mother.
No. Cheers to single moms. They're great people. I'm just saying the way they over dramatize a lot of this stuff. They focus on a lot of that. And they never focus on the strong family. Like, I agree that we should focus on the strong mothers, the single mothers, but we should also focus on the strong families as well, because that is something we should strive as well to be. Because, I mean, it doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like, what color you are, whatever. We should all strive to be in a strong family, I feel like. 'Cause I just think that's a big part of life, personally. I mean,
100%. Well, I mean,
it's just part of life.
it's simple math. If you have two incomes, that's better than one. And so for a mother to go out and struggle, especially if it's numerous kids, it's just not fair. And there's not always, here in America, I don't know if you have any, foreign following. Here in America, there's not always any kind of compensation for that. It's just like, well, lady, you got a dud, and that's your problem now. And it's sad because I grew up in a single parent household, and we went without. I never not ate or didn't have clothes on my back. It could have been better, but it could have been worse. But
exactly, man.
That was pre-Californians coming in again. If I were growing up now, Hoff, if this were 20 years ago, extreme poverty, 100%. 100% extreme poverty. But things are harder now. I mean, with housing going up everywhere, like a buddy of mine we're talking about the other day, talking about how hard they had it back in the day. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Nobody can even afford to have a fucking house now. Then there used to be like pensions where like you leave a company after 20 years, they'd pay you the rest of your life. Companies aren't doing that anymore. Pensions don't exist. Like you have to either be in the military or be a school teacher or work for a really, really, really good company, which is
let's be honest, man. Over the past century, like there's only been 15 good years in America. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like maybe 20. But if you look from the 20s where they had the Depression to now, like, went from the 50s and then the huge change in culture shift to the 60s and then the 70s, 80s. Everything was all right, I guess, back then for the lifestyle that they were living. And then like the 90s, the 80s and 90s were probably like highest point.
Internet bubble burst of the 90s fucked it all up.
Yeah.
Internet bubble burst of the 90s fucked it all up.
Maybe a little bit more, 25, 30 years maybe.
Here's a fun fact, Hoff. The world population has doubled since 1950.
Really? It's gone from 4... Well,
it's gone from 3.5 to 7 billion. 3.5 to 7 billion. You can't just pinpoint China. It's every developed country that has a longer lifespan. So China used to have that law up until 2007, where you could only have like 1 or 2 children.
Are you familiar with the? Oh, go ahead, man. Yeah, I know.
Because they're that overpopulated, and now we're bitching in America how people are having less kids and how it's going to affect the job sector in the future. But in retrospect to that, people are having less kids because we can't afford them. So I'm single. Yeah. I have my own house, 1,300 square foot. A few bedrooms, whatever. It's,
right on.
And I could never imagine having like a roommate. But if I wanted more of a house, and I live like 5 miles from downtown, I'm in a really good neighborhood. This is a fucking struggle as a single person. Like I couldn't imagine having a kid bringing them to this, and I make a good living. It's tough. It's fucking tough.
It is, man. It really is. I see a lot of families around here, especially where I live, man. They have a lot of kids, and they struggle. You know what I mean? And they like. Where I live, it's fine for a bachelor with a dog, like myself. But if you got 4 kids, 3 kids, like, dang, I don't know. You must not have planned things out right. And I'm glad your kids exist, but like, it's not a good situation for all of you. You know what I mean? And
well, it's not taught what it is. It comes down to, well, my parents did it and everybody else around me is doing it. So I'll do it too. Rather than, oh shit, I should probably really worry about this. The majority of the time, and I had to do this, I'm only 15 miles, 18 minutes from where I'm from. And I moved here into like the more inner core of the city where it is more expensive, but there's more opportunity. You have to get the fuck out of where you're from if you want to make a change. And you have to like really grind to do it. For me, I had to stay at home and live with my mother for, well into my early mid-20s. Later than I would have wanted to, but I had to get out when the time was right. If you force it and make it happen at the wrong time, you end up in poverty. You're like, all right, I'm 19 years old and I'm working a entry-level job, not making shit. you might have a few roommates, or you might be in a really, really unfortunate living scenario, an apartment or a dwelling that you may not want to be. Like it's tough.
I've never tried to force anything in my life, but I've always tried to take action on what I thought I needed to do to make things work. You know what I mean? I've never tried to force anything. I mean, I have before, it never worked out. I've kind of learned that over the years. Is go with the flow, but do what you can in that flow. Like, be the crest, not, the trough or whatever they say whenever it comes to the wave. And life's turned out better for me that way. So I get what you're saying, man. Like, you can't force some things in life, and you just got to, like, things unravel the way they do in the universe. And if you do go against the grain, you might not have it turn out the way it should have.
Very wise words, Hoff. I like that. You fucking hit the hammer on the nail. You did.
I tried.
You did. And along the way, you just have to avoid the criticism, because that's what I had to do. I had to, kick certain people out of my life and not hear certain aspects of bad advice based off of what they did, only out of sheer jealousy. And you got to just know when you come across those people and say, well, I had to tough it out and deal with it. Why are you better than me and you don't? Well, it's like, well, first, I didn't ask for this, and it's unfortunate, and I'm sorry you went through what you went through. I as long as it's in my power, I'm not going to repeat the same mistake. And I just hope that it goes the way that I'm hoping it to go, without people like you getting in my way and exposing me for this, because this would be unfortunate if not.
I'm not going to lie, man. I've learned a lot over the years. In my 20s, yeah, I was probably the guy a lot of people, they remember me in the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? And I've learned a lot since then. And yeah, and I look back on them the same way, and maybe they've made choices that bettered their lives or whatever. Maybe they're better people. But I'm not going to go back and try to correct those things now. You know what I mean? Like, it's what happened, and that was the time that it was. I can't go back and apologize for myself 10 years ago whenever I was in a different place back then. You know what I mean? So all I can do is be who I am now. And then 10 years from now, who knows? I might be like, I don't even know who that was 10 years ago. You know
sadly,
what I mean?
Sadly, Hoff, you can't unfuck a lot of things. And it's a narcissistic approach to think that you can go in and get back into like people's lives and say, hey, sorry about this, or I want to change that. There are a lot of intelligent people out there that are like, all right, you've already made that mistake. I'm not going to feed into that again. And those people like shy away from you. So all you can do is exactly what you said. Say, you know what? I won't make that mistake. Maybe they'll see I'm a different person, because that old saying, time heals all. Give it enough time. Don't do stupid shit. Be on the right path, and hopefully things go your way.
That's right, man. My whole thing in life right now is to not make stupid decisions. I still do, but I'm trying my best to not do them. And I feel like I'm doing better than I ever have. Obviously, I'm getting older. I should be. At the same time, I'm like, man, I still just have that streak in me that just wants to be wild sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, we get bored and we get squirrely. And as much as some people might say otherwise, we're still young. We're in our early mid-30s, and so we have an issue of grasping on to the boring lifestyle, the boring mindset. As far as, well, how should somebody this age act? Well, we're living to be older, and you want to have fun, and you just want to indulge. And is it that bad sometimes? And it just depends on how far you take it.
I think people our age, man, grew up in a very, very interesting time where we were in the middle of where technology was hitting, and we saw it all happen. Like, we weren't born with the smartphone in our hand. We saw it happen. We saw the internet happen. Technology was a thing before us, but people our age, we're right on that cusp of how crazy things got over the years and how it happened so fast. We were right there when the arc happened.
When you ask for a bulletin marker for me to send as far as topics we should touch upon, that is the epitome of the 2 or 3 that I sent you, because it is difficult. We're at an age where we want to still look young and still look involved and hip and whatever the fuck, that we want to be and not look old, but we still want to have enough potential respect to where like we saw those days and, we were a part of it. And it's difficult because you can't have really the best of both worlds. All you can do at that point is be yourself, and whoever's on board's on board. And majority of my friends, they don't even talk about age. I'm the only one sometimes saying, hey, age appropriation. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, dude, you're 34 and you're wearing around those fucking sweatpants. Like, you're a fuckboy. You got a receding hairline. And you're dressed like that. And like, it's funny. It's really, there's a lot of hilarity in it. There really is.
If you got a few more minutes, man, there's a couple just like couple other subjects I wanted to touch on if you got the battery life.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm gonna charge in for a minute. I'm gonna take a 3-minute break because I gotta use the men's room again.
All right,
but that phone charge should add a few.
We're gonna go whenever he gets back. I wanted to talk about if he's got some charge. I wanted to talk about some more recent news topics. Which as I said, I plan on doing maybe another stream this week on my my vacation away from my day job, where I'll go more into recent news discussion. But I'd also like to get his opinion on some of this stuff. This has been a great conversation so far. I'm very lucky to have this guy. I'd love to have him back, Matt Brooks, Matt Not a Cuck Brooks, and the guy. He just seems to have his head in a good place. It's kind of what you want to see in the world right now is more level-headed people. I can't really consider myself that kind of person. I'm kind of out there in the clouds sometimes, not gonna lie. I'm out there or the opposite, climbing down the rabbit hole. Either my head's in the clouds or my head's down the rabbit hole, one or the other. Either way, it's fun. I'm learning a lot, and I'd like to have a guest on every week, if possible, on my show. If not, maybe every couple weeks. Hey, dog, stop being itchy. But I would like to do maybe a guest spot every week or two, or maybe, once a month, whenever I can get some guest spots. So if you're listening right now, my email address is hoffsolopodcast@gmail.com. It's in the description below, as well as the link to my BitChute channel, where there's a lot more content, because I'd like to put more of my stuff on there than I would YouTube, where I could get it strucken down by the gods of YouTube. So check that stuff out. Matt, he does not have, my guest Matt Brooks does not really have any real social media, as he said, as of right now. But this stream will stay up on YouTube, and there will be a link to it on BitChute in the next day or two. And if he ever decides to make his own platform or channel or anything like that, I'll be sure to link it on there as well, just so you can get more familiar with the guy, because he's a great guest, and we're very glad to have him. So cheers to everyone watching right now. Yeah, let me get to the comments. I forgot Mitts. I'm sorry. United Airlines exec, the VP, Jacob Cefolia. His body was found hanging from an uprooted tree in Waterfall Glen Forest Preserve. He was missing for 14 months. Is this recent news? Does this have to do with the walkouts? Mitz also says, yeah, Google censored one of my comments. They'll censor anything. That's what they do now. All they do is censor. There can only be one narrative pushed. Do not go down the rabbit hole. Do not do any research for yourself, because don't do that. That'd be a bad thing, as Bill Gates says. Also, Bill Gates said, well, he's dead. So you got to be careful. So I think he might be coming back here.
Yeah, just trying a different setup. Give me 1 sec.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. I'm going to pour some more Miller. Don't drink, kids. If you do drink responsibly and don't drive. Trust me.
You know,
Mitch says,
I have a power port that recently shit the bed on me.
oh,
Sadly.
they do that. Mitch
Yeah,
says, yeah, just
I paid like $60 for it. It was to charge a car, but it also had the USB. And so I was like, fuck, I'll just use this also to charge my phone when it's charged. And yeah, that thing didn't last a year. Because
a lot of this stuff is made super cheap now, like we were saying. Disposable, just the world we live in where everything's so disposable. The phones that come out every year.
Exactly.
You have the newest one, man. You throw it in the garbage, it goes out to the ocean or to a landfill. We're all getting cancer from it. Mitz says, have a drink for me, Hoff. Well, cheers to you, Mitz. I'm always glad that you're here. And if you would ever like to come on the show for a discussion, for an interview, I'd love to have you. I think I've offered that olive branch before. If that's what you call it. I don't know if I'm using that terminology right.
But
I
do apologize. Consider me back.
We were talking about this before or during your break. United Airlines exec, the vice president, Jacob something, Cefolia, I think that's how you pronounce it. His body was found hanging from an uprooted tree in Waterfall Glen Forest Preserve. He was missing for 14 months. And just found him today is what Mitz said, because I didn't know if this was new. So it had nothing to do with the walkout if it's been 14 months. That was a dumb thing to say.
Again, I apologize for the lack of professionalism there. It's a learning curve. Like I said, I've got that studio room in there, and it's set up for everything except for podcasts. No proper lighting, no like I said, there's a screen I could use a computer on, but it's not set up in there for that.
I'm not a super professional podcast. I like to pretend I am, but I'm not. I just like to talk and I just like to talk to people, man. That's really it. Like, I like talking.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not gonna lie.
If you have an audience that'll listen, oftentimes I've got friends where I feel like it's like, shh, like.
I don't mean I like talking me. I mean, I like talking with people. I like the discussion. I like the conversation. I don't mean like I just like talking and just, everything I say you have to hear. That's why I've been having people on lately, is because I feel weird when it's just me sitting here.
I like when I have a society that wants to chime people out, and some of my best friends want to chime me out, and oddly, the potheads like to listen the most. The potheads don't have the energy to spit it out. They don't have the charisma usually, or the energy, or just the will.
This is true. As someone who partakes on sometimes more often than not, when I don't, I'm a much more talkative. Things come out rather than stay internalized, and that's 100%. I don't know if that's for everyone. It affects everyone differently. But whenever I'm super, I keep it all in. It's all in here. But when I'm not, I got a couple of drinks in me. I'm like,
yep. You're not going to run into a lot of type A high-strung potheads.
Yeah.
And a couple of my best friends, polar opposites. One of them's an engineer, wildly successful, pothead, but he's not curbed. Like, he's still like sharp as a fucking thumbtack, right? He's honest.
Nice. Yeah.
And the other is about.
I said it affects everyone differently,
I'm not gonna say he's as sharp as a bowling ball, but he's more methodical in where he chimes in and how he interacts, and it's fun, like differentiating the different forms of potheads. A lot of people smoke weed because they are type A and they have to chime it down. They need that as the edge, like. I feel
that's me sometimes, honestly. I really do feel like that's me sometimes. Not gonna lie, man. Not gonna lie, that really can be me sometimes.
Well, that's good you realize that. What takes you to that level where it's like, hey, chill the fuck out. You can only.
But also, I feel like I'm hindering myself sometimes. Like, if I didn't, I feel like I'd just be on YouTube about 12 hours a day just talking nonstop, man. Like, I don't know.
And that's where you have to find who's willing to listen to it and who's not. Because some people might say, well, hey, that guy's fucking annoying. Oh, I just can't with him. And others are like, oh, shit, yeah, go. Fucking get it, dude. Just go for it.
I mean,
So
also with my job, I can't really do that. Like I said, I'm on vacation this week, so luckily I have a little bit more time a little bit more free time. I do want to invest a lot more time into what I'm doing and talking to more people and everything. And that's a big reason why I wanted to have you on. I'm so glad that you got a
no,
hold of me, man.
I appreciate it. One of the other things that scares me about a platform is, do you ever feel like this thing is just so entirely fucking saturated? There are so many people out there that have podcasts and YouTube channels and that are streamers. And I mean, yeah, you might come across some and say, well, how the hell does that person have X amount of followers or whatever it is? But I don't know, maybe call it like I wouldn't say lack of self-esteem. I don't have a lack of self-esteem, but I'm not a narcissist. So I would never think of having a platform.
No, so what you just said makes complete sense to me, even on a different level, as I am a musician. And for years, I followed the dream that, hey, I'm going to be a big rock star one day. All I have to do is write the tunes and play some shows. I did all that, and that's not true, man. It is oversaturated, all right? But
very much.
It comes down to the point where, as I was saying earlier, I'm not doing this for any other reason than to talk. You have to figure out what reason you want to do it for. If it's for money, you're in it for the wrong reasons. That goes for almost anything, 100%. Unless it's a job that you got hired for, obviously, like, a job. If you're doing
an agreement, hey, you're going to pay me X amount per year for me to show up X amount of time.
Exactly. But if it's something like this, where like it's basically a pipe dream, if you're ever going to get paid for it, especially if you do what I do, like the best thing you can do on here is maybe talk about video games, and that's even oversaturated.
Well, you have to stream them. You have to show that like you're decent at it, and then you got to win them over and say, how funny was that guy was there and I shot him in his ass. He didn't even see me. Here's the next guy. I just shot him.
Exactly.
Boom, I'm on a roll.
But for me, this
is like, this guy's a good video game player and he's funny. It's the funny ones the ones that succeed the most, probably YouTube and Twitch, are the funny ones. People want to have to like you. They can say, oh, well, I might have died in that same situation. If you're that good at that game, you probably wouldn't have died. But people will be sympathetic and say, you know what, I'm not that good at this game. That's why I watch you. And I don't watch gaming channels. I play a shitload of Call of Duty. I suck at it. I would never stream it. I'd be embarrassed to stream it. People would see my flaws and chew me under the fucking bus quick. Be like, you didn't turn the right angle dime while he was coming at you. You saw the marker. You had that gun. Blah. Like, people that know gaming know gaming. And I know gaming, but I'm not proud of it. I'm not good at it. I'm just like, oh, I suck, and I can never do that. What he just did, don't count me in on that. I couldn't do it. I see it. I'm not stupid. I can recollect what they just did, but my brain cells don't push together that fast.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not that good at it either. It's just for fun. That's the same way I do this, man. And for me, like, for me, this whole thing that I'm doing right now is, it's not a narcissistic, but it is for me. It's a learning, like, it's a journey for me. It's a learning experience. It's me able to figure out things and be able to say them out loud and have discussions with people about them. So I don't, maybe you don't feel as alone on things. And I don't feel as alone on the way I'm thinking. And it has nothing to do with anything besides my journey and trying to learn right now. Yeah, back when I started and I was talking about Star Wars and stuff, I was like, yeah, I want 1,000 subscribers so I can start getting monetized, and I want blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, now I don't give a shit about any of that shit. I just want to really just kind of build my own thing. I don't care like how big it gets. I just want people who want to be involved in it.
You know, one of the things I've noticed about the most narcissistic YouTubers or streamers, you might enjoy this, and this isn't like
they wear sunglasses like this.
No, this isn't mind blowing.
It's a joke on me.
I'm not fucking setting the record straight and pulling out some mind blowing facts. But one of the things I've noticed the most about the most narcissistic YouTubers or streamers, and what you're not doing this, you know what it is the most narcissistic ones don't have a panel up. It's their show and their show only. Seriously.
I mean, fair enough.
It's just them on the screen, and they'll go off the chat. And if they don't go off the chat, they'll just go on their own tangents, and they have a following. And that, like, there are YouTubers that I see. It's not even about super chats. They get a shitload of super chats, but they never have anybody on the panel. They don't get different perspectives. They don't have like a back and forth type conversation. It's, hey, every now and then when I'm out of topic, let me look down in the chat. Okay, so-and-so, they've been maybe a subscriber. I've seen the chat X amount of time. I'll take their chime in or their question, and we'll go on that. And that's the most narcissistic ones. You get people like Joe Rogan who have people, and that's all he does. It's always guests.
Whenever my channel was something it was before, it's been through like 3 or 4 different phases. But when I first started out, I was having literally like what I'm doing right now. I was interviewing people every week, man. I wanted people on. I wanted to talk to people because that's how you learn, in my opinion. That's how I learn anyway, is from getting. I don't like going through chats, man. You lose the nuance of what people are saying. You don't get the full picture of people don't want to text all out, or there's not enough space. I want to hear people. I want to take the time. I want to involve myself in the human experience, basically, you know, and that's what it is for me. And if they want to censor that, that's fine. But really, I just want to talk.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. We just hope that censorship doesn't become more of an issue than it's becoming. I mean, Google owns YouTube, and people that throw up live streams, even though something may not get blocked out during that live stream, if somebody were to go watch a repeat, things might get blocked out just based off of Google's fucking perception on it. It's like, that's scary. You know, especially if it's not anything that's like past R-rated, which you should be able to put your age into your YouTube account and say, you know, you're that age and this is what type of content I'm willing to accept. You know, not everybody's going to be a softie. I love edgy shit. You know what I'm going for is Halloween? You know what my Halloween costume is?
What am I?
A tampon.
There you go.
And you know what I thought about doing? The tampon comes in as white. I'm thinking about putting some red on it.
Well, yeah, you'd have to. And is the string going to be your tail?
No, the applicator's in the front end. It's the peen side. It's third leg.
Oh, okay.
It's a frontal tampon. Yeah. And I'm already like, so my the party that we're going to, it's up in Oklahoma.
So you're trying to like get some vag.
No, it's more shock humor.
Oh, okay. Well, it can be taken either way.
Oh, it's 100% shock humor. Oh, it's all shock humor. That's all I'm in for, man. I like pushing that button. Like I said, I've had to kind of simmer it a few times a night just because I'm not trying to get you in trouble. And I'm not trying to look like an ass on here either. Like everybody that's viewing, I don't know how many viewers you have right now. Everybody's got their perception. They're going to fall one way or another, whether they believe it or not. I mean, everybody has political aspects. You know, to say you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're not at least like somewhat of an independent, it's really unfortunate because I vote Republican, but I've got some like liberal views. You know, and I think that's the only way it should be. Like, I'm not a woman. A woman should have complete control of her body.
It's this whole thing where people still wear masks just because they don't want people to think they're Trump supporters.
Sadly. And if they keep doing that, they keep breathing in that fucking harmful bacterial infection they've got going on back and forth between their mask.
So you want in this at 2 hours? We got about 7 minutes left. I'd like to do a speed round with some current news real quick. See what your opinions are on it. Would that be cool with you?
Yeah.
In this at about 2 hours, man. So what do you think? So Alec Baldwin killed a lady.
I saw that. Yeah, on set. The gun had some kind of malfunction, they say, which was the scenario. She was a mother. She was a wife. She was 42 years old. You know, he gave an immediate statement. He's, you know, working with law enforcement. I think it is what it is. It was an accident. I don't think we need to put any more perspective or any more speak about what it was. Nothing about.
I agree with you, man. A lot of people are trying to politicize this. At the same time, I do think negligence is a huge issue, but at the same time, I don't think it should be politicized, unless there was foul play involved, which I'm not saying there was. There's no evidence for it, but if there was, that's fine. But if not, there is no evidence of it. I don't think it should be politicized. A lot of people are trying to do that, and I
He
don't think
shouldn't
that's
see
right.
any legal.
And I don't like Alec Baldwin. Trust me, I don't like the guy. But at the same time, I'm fair. You know, I'm not gonna.
It was the production team for not putting blanks in that gun.
I mean, we don't know the full story. We don't even know why he shot it. We don't know what the scenario was where he was he shooting it for a scene? Was he messing around? Did, you know, and ultimately, if you're working with a real gun, the person who pulls the trigger ultimately is the one. But at the same time, you've been working on movies for years and never had this happen. I don't know, man. It's a messy situation. That's why it's so interesting. I think a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are trying to.
Pardon the pun, but point blank. Point blank. He should have been shooting blanks.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Pardon the pun. Point blank. He didn't.
So if he was shooting for a scene, I could understand that. If they're like, action, fire it this way. But why would you? I mean, unless you're doing like a take where you're firing at the camera, I would still stand out of the way if it's a real gun,
100%.
regardless.
Oh yeah,
that's all the questions I have.
Thing is,
you know,
I
know it wasn't intentional, but
this isn't the first time. Bruce Lee's son died back in the mid-90s.
Yeah. I remember my brother's older was a big fan of The Crow, and I remember when that happened.
Yeah, it's like wow, that happened once. How the fuck did it happen again? And it happened. I mean,
allegedly they were using the prop guns, which are actual guns, for target practice in between takes. So the theory that I think is most likely is that they've said that there was still a little bit of powder left in the chamber when they put the blank in, and that still set it off whenever, you know, the hammer hit. So
that was for the Crow.
What's up?
That was for the Crow, yes.
But no, but they're also saying this for this as well.
Oh shit. It's the same problem. Okay.
Because they were doing takes in between. They're out at this desert area, you know, around a church, and in between takes, a bunch of people walked off set because they were like, this gun's already misfired twice, because they keep using it in between takes for target practice.
They should use two guns. They should use two guns. One should be all blanks. The other should be...
I don't know why you can't just have a fake gun and use CGI.
Yeah, there you go.
You can do anything else. You can make Transformers with CGI, blow up New York City. You can make Godzilla take down a city. Why can't you just have a fake gun and that's not a real gun. It doesn't have the working parts, but still made of metal. And just when you go bang, bang, it just...
Remember, because we're in America, the finger has to be pointed at everybody, and that's what they're searching for now. What they need to do is make this never happen again and stop doing that. Because what's happening is Alec Baldwin is going to get off scotch-free. But between now and then, he's going to get a lot of flack. That's what we're doing to him.
I wouldn't say scot-free. His career will probably be over, but he's not going to take any illegal. Illegal action.
He's 63 years old. They're going to make a lot out of this. He's going to get off because he's innocent, but they're going to make him out as like, hey, you have to pay for this. You won't be in Hollywood anymore. But he's 63. And if you don't think age discrimination exists in Hollywood, it 100% exists. How much shit have you seen Betty White in lately? She's 99.
Yeah, unless they're making a new... Well, actually, they are making a new Lord of the Rings.
I thought you were saying Golden Girls. I was like,
oh, Golden Girl. They probably will, you know.
No. I saw a funny meme, and this is where I crossed the line at on your podcast. I saw a funny meme about a certain sitcom that's about to go on, and I ironically won't mention this sitcom, but I'll mention what I'm getting at. They said, well, what are we going to do next? Bring back Golden Girls with like... what was her name? It was Queen Latifah, Nicki Minaj, and a few other, African American.
I was just about to make that same joke, but only with the cast from Cuties will be the Golden Girls.
Oh, how do you know
Netflix
that
Cuties? Oh,
I imagine it's funny.
No. Netflix Cuties. It was a movie that sexualized underage girls, and it was a huge deal. And that was the joke, that they went from old white girls to underage.
No, it was definitely an all African American cast at that point. But like I said earlier, man, we don't even have to get. I don't want to This is the sad thing about being on the internet, because I have to chime everything down. You have to speak in certain terms so you don't sound like a fucking asshole, but you tend to get a point across, and it's to the sense that everything's going to spin itself out. When you try to get things that aren't organic, in the sense that the Wonder Years was Fred Savage, and you try to recreate it, or Karate Kid, people are going to know it's bullshit because they're going to look for the Wonder Years or the Karate Kid or Annie. And so I think these things are going to spin themselves out. I know you think the money's going to come from elsewhere to keep it going, but Hollywood is a different monster.
As you were saying, man, like having to tone things down, and when you're really angry about things and you just want to let it all out, I have found a way to redirect that energy. And I think a lot of people are finding this as well. And it's through satire and sarcasm. And it's Let's Go Brandon. It's that, you know what I mean? It's basically finding a different avenue to joke and keep it lighter, but still making your point as serious as possible. And it's an art. But,
I'm not angry about it. I just wish
I'm angry about a lot of things.
I wish we would stop lying to the current people. I just wish we'd stop lying. It's like, stop trying to recreate the past. Tell the future it is. Tell about all the atrocities, everything that went on between the Civil War and World War II. Talk about it. It was all fucked up. Don't act like it didn't happen. Don't try to recreate it. When you try to recreate it and spin it in other ways, you're full of shit. Talk about how bad it was. Talk about it existing. And don't try to like write it by creating.
Have a good night.
Try to create it in the sense that our certain climate isn't the way it is, because we're not just jumping on board with that. Let it organically happen. We're not all just going to be, like you said, that nuclear family that's dad that may be this skin color, mom that's that skin color, 2 kids that are 2 other skin colors. That doesn't make sense. We're lying to the kids. They're going to be like, Dad, what's this commercial? Where's my other brother and sister at? No, that's your sister there, and she looks just like you, because Mom looks like you and you look like me, and we all look alike because this is our family. Rather than what we see on TV, it's like we're trying to be so PC, we're lying to ourselves. Nothing makes sense. Absolutely nothing makes sense.
Back to what you were saying about recreating the Civil War, do you think that has anything to do with taking down monuments of Civil War heroes and like forgetting our history? Because
that's what's left.
And I get deep into this stuff, and I believe that's all part of it. Forgetting history to rewrite history, build back better, all this crap.
Well,
you know,
they want us to forget about it. They want us to forget about it. And it all comes down to how much history needs to actually be taught. So when we were in school, we learned the independence, 1776. They're going to probably end up getting rid of that because it's not important. Civil War is probably going to be gotten rid of.
They'll get rid of the Declaration of Independence because they want the New World Order where it's all one thing.
Yeah, sadly. I mean,
that's why they want global currency, all this stuff. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, man. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, you're good. They're going to get past it because the norm is going to become everybody basically getting past that. It's like, you know what? That was a horrible time in life. Even though it existed, we don't need to talk about it. Hey, we all agree upon it. Yeah. All right, 1700s done. Let's get in the 1800s. Oh, there's a Civil War. That was fucked. All right, let's get past that. They're going to get to the point where history's not even a thing anymore because they're like, who cares? It's history. Why are there history majors? Why are people making money off this? Why are there textbooks being printed off this? We need to get to the point where we cut all this out. And that's okay if they cut it out. It was all bad. It was all wrong. Fucked up shit happened. My problem is you try to rewrite that and tell it a different story, you're lying to the kids. Stop lying to the kids.
Stop. We touched on this before. Oh shit! I hit my microphone. We touched on this earlier, man. Where like we said, who knows what about the history books was even real? Like what if this has been done before?
Don't talk about it. Just stop lying about it. It's like I'd rather them not talk about it and be like, hey, we're all ancestors. We all got here somehow. Maybe the color of your skin was treated worse than another different color of their skin. They all got here too. Yeah, yours is more fucked up, but we're just creating turmoil by talking about it. So
I don't think we should forget history, but at the same time, I don't think we should still feel responsible for it. You know,
we weren't around during the Civil War. You shouldn't be treated wrong.
So
I shouldn't be treating her wrong.
Matt, is there anything else you'd like to talk about, man?
No, that sums up a lot. I appreciate you having me on. That's like I said, I'm walking on eggshells a bit. It's the first podcast I've done formally.
No, you did great,
so I
man.
appreciate you inviting me on.
You carried me on your back the whole way. No doubt.
Oh, no worries, man.
One last thing. Have you heard about the Fauci stuff about him with the puppies?
Are they giving vaccines to dogs now?
Now, Anthony Fauci was doing like all kinds of crazy experiments on puppies. I won't get into it right now. I thought maybe you heard about it. That's why I put that stuff up on the screen, but I'll probably change that later because this podcast was not about that, and I'm glad it wasn't. Honestly, I thought it was much better than that. Your views,
no,
they're what I needed to hear, man.
Fauci's kind of a scumbag, and he teeters around. He teeters around being right and wrong, and he basically comes out and has statements and has the media just blow shit up. And he sits back, and people go after him, but they go after the media's portrayal of him even more. I think he can get out of this scotch-free, sadly. And the fact that he didn't come forth at any point of this and say, I'm not making this political. I'm the director of the CDC, and this is where we're at as a group. It's not me. I'm the fucking speaker of this entire ordeal. Here's what we feel is the right thing for society, and I'm coming to stand forth and say, this is what I'm back because this is what we're for. He never did that. He took a political approach and said he didn't like Trump or he was pro-Biden or whatever the fuck it was, and he's had a lot of schlack basically coming against him saying like, hey, dude, you're wrong. And I don't think his approval ratings very well, but it doesn't matter because he's not in a political standpoint. You can't say, fire Fauci, get him out of there. Like, tell me who's even second in line to Fauci. I couldn't tell you.
I mean, he's been working for the White House for almost 4 decades, if not more than that. Like, there's pictures of him back with like Bush and Clinton and stuff. Like, he's not new. He's been around a long time. He's part of the club, in my opinion, and I don't want to go too much further into that. I like
but
your
when people
opinions
go
on
after
that,
him, does he lose his spot as the CDC?
Well, he's under a lot of fire right now. That's why I brought it up. Maybe look it up after the stream.
Who appoints him is what I'm getting at.
He was that's my big question. That's something I want to look into. That is a great question. How did he get there? How did he get in his position? I know he's been there for a long time.
Obama twice. Trump got in once. Now there's Biden. Do you think Trump wanted fucking Fauci in not obviously office? God, what a slip up.
No, he made fun of Fauci the first time he had him on stage. He said, "Oh, you used to play football, huh?" Because he's like 5'2". Yeah,
Fauci,
there might be some personal shit behind there.
That's where COVID goes all wrong. I'm so glad we didn't speak about COVID for any more than we did throughout this whole podcast, because with COVID, everybody's going to lose. You could say, oh, take the conservative approach where people should go out and about and live their life. Well, there's more cases. Oh, we should shut everything down. Well, there goes businesses. There's no win from this. And our society has been so far like strung out for an answer. It's like there is no answer. The answer is the vaccine. If people get it, good. If the numbers go down and there's more social distancing, good luck with that. We're basically just going to die out. I hope that doesn't get you in trouble. And get to the point, like I said earlier when we started stream, people get to the points where they're willing to get the antibodies and expose themselves to it just to go back to a normal life. And that's what's going to be the end game. And then we have to wait and see, okay, how many more strands of this shit comes out before it ends. And you say, okay, it's 2021 going into 2022. Hopefully not 2023. Hopefully not even halfway through 2022. I mean, that's just what we're up against, Hoff.
2 weeks to flatten the curve, huh?
My ass. You know, they always talk about fall and winter coming. What's it going to do? He's like, oh, God. Cold weather.
Yeah, dark winter coming. But, yeah, I'm so glad to have you on, man. Do you have any social media or anything you want to promote? Anywhere people can find you if you'd like them to. If not, that's cool, too, if you want to stay off the grid.
No, I mean, I'm not big on the social medias. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me on. It's been fun,
Absolutely, man.
very entertaining. Definitely come back at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back, man. Thank you for spending your time with me. This will stay up on YouTube, and I'll put it up on BitChute, as well as I do have my podcast on iTunes. I put the audio from some of these up there. Not a whole lot of people listen. I don't promote it that much. But I'm hoping to get the ball rolling on the actual audio stuff, and I'm definitely putting this one up because I think it's a very good conversation, and you just kept the ball rolling, man. I appreciate it. If you'd like to hang out for a couple minutes after the show backstage, that's fine. If you got to get going, I understand that too. But I'm on vacation, so I can do whatever.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm good. It's still early. Hell.
Anything else you'd like to say to the audience?
Thanks for listening to me. It was a pleasure to be on. Hoff's a great guy. Thanks for tuning in to him, and just glad to be here. Thanks, everybody.
And keep rolling. Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you to Matt, not a cuck Brooks, and
Not a cuck.
Yeah, not a cuck. And I'll see you soon, everyone. Hoff signing off.